One of the most painful aspects of life can come when the people with opinions about us, what I call the cacophony of voices in our head, judge our identity. I'm in my mid-50s. I identify as Black and biracial. Looking back, I can see that by the time I was a teenager, I pretty much believed the negative stereotypes about me and my people, as can happen when we belong to a marginalized group. So I constantly tried to prove that I wasn't the stereotype. This means that for a couple of decades, from my teens through my late 30s, while I looked pretty successful in terms of career and status, I was a thin shell of a human because I was continually trying to please and appease others while ignoring or smiling my way through the microaggressions and outright racism that I experienced. Being who they wanted me to be and not being who they didn't want me to be was making me hate who I actually was. At around the age of 40, I was finally able to admit to someone I trusted deeply that I'd been taught to be ashamed of who I was, to the point of self-loathing. When I admitted this to her, which was really to admit it to myself, I began to free myself of the grip that all of the negativity had had on me. Like the negativity was a bully and I'd finally turned around to call it what it was. And this time, instead of me running away from it, it ran away from me. I was now free to love myself completely in all my identities. I'm also a queer, bisexual, butch, cis woman, very happily married to a queer, bisexual, white, cis man with whom I have 2 kids. Is that a lot? It's just me. Finally, I'm like, okay, cool, this is who I am. And there's a feeling of ease. Now I intentionally seek and prioritize relationships, communities, and gatherings where I can be fully accepted as I am. And I'm finally able to stand up to people who say inconsiderate or harmful things about people like me. For decades, I was chasing a sense of belonging. But now, I belong to me. I've realized that when you truly love and accept yourself, well, you belong everywhere because you take that self with you wherever you go. So I've been in that place of, wait, didn't I do everything right to please them, both professionally and in my personal life, only to discover that no, a happy life doesn't come from acquiescing to other people's ideals. It comes from me knowing and accepting what I'm good at, what I love, and who I am, and heading in those directions. And that's why I'm rooting for you to do the same.